Hello, everybody. Welcome to It's a Crime. I'm Linda, for those of you who don't know me. And tonight we have a really great show. I'm so excited to have Chris McDonough on. Now, most of you know who he is, but some of you may not. So what I'm going to, how I'm going to introduce him, okay? Because I did a little snooping today. And I didn't know some of these things, and I know you guys are going to be fascinated. We've seen him on Profiling Evil. He's a retired homicide detective, and he is an expert in death investigators, interviewing, and criminal behavior analysis. So, like, while I'm talking about this, you guys give just a bunch of hearts and thumbs up, because I'm just so excited for him to be on. I have known him for the last, I think, 6 months, and we've been chit-chatting it up off and on for quite some time. He's my buddy. And there's some really cool stuff in store tonight. I can't wait for him to explain it to you guys. One more thing, though. This is really cool what I've read today, and I knew a tiny bit, but not all of this. He's actually investigated and solved hundreds of homicides and consulted nationally on investigations, including JonBenet Ramsey and Elizabeth Smart. You guys may have known those are huge cases, and a lot more. He's also been training, and I think you've done this already, haven't you, Chris? I'll let you say hi in a minute, but you got a resume a little bit long here. He's training Native American Homicide Task Force as part of the Cold Case Foundation. We're going to learn more about that tonight. And he has now started his very own channel called The Interview Room. So now, please welcome my fellow YouTuber and buddy, Chris McDonough, to the show.
Hi, Linda.
Hey, I'm just...
I'm first of all, let me say seriously, I'm humbled and I'm grateful that you would, quite frankly, take out of your family time to, come chit chat with a buddy. And, this is a real opportunity for me to have an opportunity to, connect with some more people. So I'm grateful.
Yeah, I love that you're on, and I know it's going to be a great night. I was searching a little bit in the comments earlier, seeing what people are saying, and they're just so excited. They're so excited. They said this is going to be some sort of chat tonight. It's going to be good. So,
it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So what I thought we'll do is first we're going to talk a little bit about your channel. We'll talk a little bit about that and a couple things, and then we'll go into the Orrin and Orson West case. You and I have talked a little bit about, do you know about it? Do I know about it? Have we been following it? So we're going to get into a little bit of that. I got a lot of questions for you as well. So what we're also going to do is I'm going to go back in the chat here and there, because there's going to be some questions and comments. And already I see Charles C. says, hey guys, two of my faves. I love you both. So glad you're teamed up. Keep up the amazing content, guys. Thank you so much, Charles C. Nice to see you. So let's get into this. No, wait, now let's get into it. Tell me a little bit about the interview. Tell all of us in here about the interview room.
Well, first of all, I appreciate, everybody being here. It's great saying hi to everyone. When Mike first asked me to come to, profiling, he said, hey, would you come on as a guest and, spend some time? And I said, absolutely, for you, anything. I mean, we've been dear friends for, as you know, forever. Mm-hmm. And as, time went on, he was like, maybe you need to expand a little bit more here. So, he's kind of the one. I told him I'd lower his property value when I first started. And, he knows that to be a true statement. But so I did. With his support and friendship, he said, get out there. And I said, okay. And now I'm still going to be coming on, every once in a while on choir practice, obviously with him, and, still keep that support going there for my buddy. But so what we're going to do in the interview room is really we're going to have fascinating stories and people about people. We're going to hit unsolved crimes. We're going to, hopefully have some mystery stuff in there as well. And my wife and I bought an Airstream. And so I sold my house. I am literally sitting in a Airbnb. I'm picking up delivery of this Airstream coming up in, I think, around February, first couple of weeks of February. and then we're just going to start cruising, and we're going to look for fascinating things. And we'll call you and others and say, hey, what do you need out here? And if I'm in the area, I'll drop in for Miss Linda and say, hey,
Come to Canada.
she's got a question, and so I'm also still heavily involved in the Cold Case Foundation, and supporting them through this effort out in the field. That's one of the things for our viewers. If you've not had an opportunity to go see, if I can, if you've not had an opportunity to get up there to see the Cold Case Foundation, get over there. These guys, they have over 300 cases right now that they're helping families, law enforcement, and victims. And they're a 501c3, so they have a little area there. It's called Cold Case Live. I think it's like $2.99 a month, but it opens up a variety of just a tremendous amount of things. I mean, podcasts, just everything. And they also have a place over there called The Vault. And that's where families who have victims that they've approached law enforcement and they want some more help. There's a staff of about 85 in different types of expertises from all around the world. Most recently, I'll give you an example of what that looks like. We just did a case from Siberia. There was a young man who was a U.S. citizen who was found in the snow. And their family reached out, and the Cold Case Foundation weighed in on that. And I was privileged to help in that particular situation. So the channel is called The Interview Room with Chris McDonough. I leave that piece of it off, but it's called The Interview Room. And my first thing that we're going to take on is Suzanne Morphew's case. I mean, we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit more.
That's awesome. And I'm gonna ask you something in there because everybody's buzzing about this. But if you guys haven't already done so, you can check out Chris's channel. We'll put that in the description. It's already in the description below, but also if the mods in here, if you could put that in as well, that'd be great. And head over there, subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell as well, because you want to be notified when he brings out his videos. And so the buzz is, this is what they're asking me, Linda, did Chris really talk to Barry? So what can you tell us about this upcoming video that's coming up? Because I believe you said January 24th, correct?
24th. Yep. We're going to kick it off on the 24th. And then we're going to play the first video. And then we're going to have a live right after that to kind of a Q&A and talking about that. And as you know, I've invited Miss Linda, if you're available to come on to that with, we're going to have some other great guests. I don't want to tip my hat who they're going to be, but they're going to be pretty amazing folks. And I had a chat with Barry's husband, or with Suzanne's husband. Yep. And we're going to play it. And we'll see where it goes. You got to lay a foundation, right? Whenever you're looking into a particular case, and sometimes that involves trust. And so we'll see where it goes. So I don't want to tip my hat too much, because he could be watching too, simultaneously, because I know he's been monitoring social media. So we'll just kind of let it sit there. And if you can make it on the 24th, great.
I'll be there.
Love to have you there, and hopefully, it'll be a good kickoff for some more things. I made a commitment, to that family, at least to see what we can do. So,
yes, and she hasn't been found yet. So, of course, the most important thing is to find Suzanne.
Correct. Yep. Most important. The family still needs peace. Go ahead.
I just saw here that we have a little visitor in here. Where is he? Where did he go? I have to scroll in this thing. I need a little bit of what's the back office as well. I always say to Tyler, I'm jealous because, it'd be nice just to have somebody flick the button. I saw Judy Ron here. Linda and Chris love you guys. Love to get together with you guys in the future on some cases. Yes, Judy Ron, I've been thinking about you, and you have a spot on here as well. We'll just chit chat and coordinate that. And I would
Absolutely.
love to highlight your, I would love to highlight your comment, but I can only see it at the top and I don't know where it went. So lots of love. Just can't find you. And my flock says, hi, Chris, it's Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. How are you? Oh, Sarah Clement. I know Sarah. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. From SoCal.
yeah.
Hi,
She said,
Sarah.
hi.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you. And there's also some members who are climbing into my crime ring here in membership. I just want to say hi and welcome. All right, so I'm so excited for your channel. I think this is going to
Thank
be
you.
absolutely great. I love that. I love you're doing this. It's one of those things that I love both you and Mike, and Profiling Evil's awesome. And then when I heard that you're doing something separate and he's continuing Profiling Evil, to me, it wasn't a shock. It was almost like a natural progression to me. I wasn't like, what? I just thought, wow, this is awesome. It makes sense to me. It just does. So I'm so excited for you. I think it's going to be something that, that you're going to be able to, and Mike, just flourish in something. You do you, and Mike's doing him, and you guys have such great ideas and great backgrounds, and I think it's gonna be awesome. I just so excited.
Yeah, I mean, we're a natural yin and yang, and he called me a racehorse. That was kind of his MO, right? And so I have been. I mean, that's just been my nature, and anybody that knows me, that I go pretty quick, pretty not, but I go methodically. I have a method to my madness, and it's been very successful in terms of what I learned. And I'm the first one to tell you I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
I learned a long time ago, and you may have experienced this too. And tell me what your feelings are. But I was on a caper one time where there was a forensic anthropologist. His name was Roger Hegler. And he was out of the University of San Francisco. He's a very, very, very well-respected guy. And we were, it was a victim who had been buried. And long story short, Roger was in there. And this is like an archaeological dig, as these things are kind of progressing, right? And he comes across something, and it was a bone. And there was a guy standing next to me, and he holds the bone up, and he says, Chris, what is this? And I knew, wisdom had taught me, keep your mouth shut, because if you don't know, don't say it. Okay. And so I just stood there. I said, Doc, I have no idea. Right. That's what he does. Right. And then he turned to the other guy. He says, what is this? And the guy next to me goes, well, it looks like a dog bone. And he goes, wrong. Just like that. And I went, don't say anything, man. Don't say anything, dude. No. He goes, or no, he said it looks like a leg bone or something like that. And he goes, wrong. And he says, it's a dog bone. I had it backwards. He goes, it's a dog bone. And I learned that very moment, keep your mouth shut. If it's better to be a good listener than, a good, I think I know everything. And sometimes that gets you in trouble.
Yeah.
Because when you have to be direct to people, that gets read off as, this guy's arrogant or this guy's that and that, okay. I'm not, I try not to be, but I can be direct sometimes. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's bad. I don't know.
I always like direct. Now, I have a question for you, because it just brings up something. In the paramedic field, like my husband's a paramedic, they have something, I am sure you guys maybe call it the same thing, of compassion fatigue. So I'm just wondering, though, in all the cases that you've done, over time, you can see patterns, you can see, like guesstimate, this is going to end up this way, this is going to end up that way. Do you stand back and have to remind yourself in it going, okay, this isn't the other case, this could end up differently? Or is it really, really hard not to go down just that one path? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great thought process where, where investigators get in trouble is they start asking the how versus the why. And, they don't take into consideration, the more whys that you have to ask. And so what ends up happening is you get into this pattern, that you're talking about, where cases start to overlap each other.
Yeah.
And are you experiencing that? I mean, just even what you're doing. I mean, you do such marvelous work in tying patterns together. But let me ask you, do you find yourself, kind of, tying things together, and forgetting, oh yeah, wait a minute, I'm not working on Valo. I'm over here working on, the kids now, right?
I think I do feel like that in the beginning when I first start, but once I
Mm-hmm.
start really knowing what's going on, I can separate it. But do
Yep.
you find that, oh, this sounds like so much like this is similar to this guy or this is similar to that guy, but reminding yourself that, hey, I still got to step back and I still got to look at this as neutral in the beginning, right? Would you
Yeah,
say?
absolutely. Yeah. And so those signature characteristics is what we'll call those, right? Are there similarities in relationship to each individual event? And so you start looking for series characteristics, right? And in homicides, obviously you're looking for signature patterns
Right.
within the suspectology. Is the suspect doing a certain way of things? Okay, and are they learning from doing it this way to the next one? And you'll see a progression in that behavioral analysis aspect. And so, yeah, as an investigator, you have to step back and say, okay, I've seen this before, but it might not necessarily be what I was thinking, A, B, C, or D. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
you have,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a good
Yeah.
point.
Probably easy, I guess, maybe to an untrained or maybe a new detective or something that they're like, okay, well, I got this. And, if ego gets in the way, they kind of go down that. I just have these conversations with my husband too, just in terms of compassion fatigue, because sometimes you stop thinking of your patients as I don't want to say people, but it's sometimes they just call it that, compassion fatigue, where you got to remember that this is somebody's grandma, this is somebody's sister, this is somebody's brother, and and that. So
Yeah, yeah, and you also have to remember there's other victims on the other side.
yes,
Because even though you're putting a set of bracelets on somebody for potentially the rest of their life, okay, they have a family too.
yeah,
And you see those dynamics play out during the victim impact statements and stuff that we've all experienced in watching court trials. But we forget that some of these people just went off, and they're not necessarily what they did is bad and evil and wrong. Okay, I mean, that's the worst thing you can do, obviously, is try to take somebody's life. Okay,
yeah,
but some people crack, and when they crack, they do stupid things, and then they get they take it to even further things. But the people that wake up in the morning, like just normal you and I every single day, and all of our friends here and our listeners here, there are people that wake up every single day and say, okay, it's 8:45, time to make a bag of lunch and go kill somebody. Okay,
right,
and they exist. There's between 25 and 55 of those individuals they estimate, out there in the environment that basically go to work to kill people, and they haven't been captured yet. So it's it's a full time opportunity for them. But people like us, when I say us, the community as a whole, citizens. That's what we're doing. That's what this true crime thing is all about. We're trying to figure
yes,
out, okay, what does this look like? And, is it somebody or something that that we can connect some of the dots? So interesting stuff.
I think that's exactly it. Like you were saying, some people just have. There's a saying, and I'm not going to swear on here, but there's a saying where it's like there are no a-holes, just a-hole behavior.
Yeah,
Have you heard of that? Yeah.
right. Adam Henry's.
So yeah, yeah, I can see that. So sometimes it's hard, right, when you're in the thick of it, and it's hard sometimes to step back and go, oh yeah, that's somebody's son, that's somebody's brother, that's somebody's cousin or
Yeah.
whatever, or dad, somebody's dad. So
Yeah.
it's difficult. I'm sure you guys probably have learned that and how to separate that kind of thing. And then, for somebody like myself who gets a little riled up about it, sometimes I go a little bit off and then I just back myself up, breathe it out, and then just continue on.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a young lady that, quite frankly, her name was Valisa Ray Joy. And, she was working the streets. And I talked to her about 2 hours before she vanished. And about 3 days later, they found her. It was a body dump off of the interstate in the mountains, off the Interstate 8. And come to find out, she was connected to, there were 43 different women back
Wow.
in San Diego County. It was, they were, it was connected to an individual. His guy's name was Porter, was his last name. But I can tell you this day, they could never. I worked Vice from 1984 to 1986, a couple of weekends, and when people would say, "So what do you do?" and I'd say, "Well, I pick up hookers," and they're like, "What?" And I said, "No, really, I go to work and I pick up hookers," and they're like, "What?" I said, "Well, I actually arrest them. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not that guy,
Yeah.
and." But I came to understand, that the human condition, they didn't choose to be there, 90% of them. And so I came to understand a little empathy,
Yeah.
not understanding where they're at, but, and so when they're gone, it's kind of like, okay, what am I learning here? What am I learning as a human being?
Yeah.
I may not agree with what they're doing. In fact, I don't agree with what they're doing, but they're human beings. And so that compassion, I think you pick it up. At least I hope you pick it up. And you can kind of condition yourself to say, okay, I have to tell this story. I have to tell the story. It doesn't matter what it is. And so,
Yeah. There was just a recent movie I watched with Mr. Linda, and it was about a woman's daughter who went missing, and she was working the streets, and
mhm.
and she fought, and her mom fought for her, and she's
Yeah,
like, if you're not going to listen, I'm going to make you listen. And she just posted, she's like, I'll come in this cop shop every day if I have to, and post her picture. And it was a great movie. It was a really great movie. They ended up
yeah,
finding her, and unfortunately she was deceased, but it was just a really good look that way of, people, they're human is a human, doesn't matter,
yeah,
and it doesn't matter. And a lot of people are struggling. That's the bottom line, is somebody who's in that line of work, let's just say, I mean, they're struggling with a lot of things, right? And it's
yeah,
just even, feeling worthy and all that. That's another show. But
yeah.
yeah.
And think of the pendulum on that, right? Just one thought?
Yes,
So
100%.
the pendulum on that was one of the other girls. Okay, I'm not going to name her name. She gets picked up, and a subject tries to strangle her in the car. Okay, and patrol gets there and calls me, and I end up talking to her off to the side, and she turns to me and says, "Hey, by the way, it's A, B, C, and D." Okay, it ended up being that guy.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
Yeah. So one side of the pendulum is we could look at that situation that they're involved in and not quite right. And then the other side of it is she actually solved the case. Okay. So yeah, I mean the universe is the universe is on schedule, as I like to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
So
it's it's fascinating too. It's unfortunate in these circumstances, but it's fascinating what we could learn, and
yeah.
and then just how everything happens. So I see retired Sergeant Melinda's in here. Hello, Chris, Linda, y'all are so amazing
I,
people. Love y'all so much. Stay safe and keep on keeping on. Nice to
yep.
see you. So I think,
So what's on your mind, Miss Linda? Where are we
okay,
going? Where do you want to go? This is your
here's
show.
what we got to talk about, because I've been itching to talking about this for well, all week really. I'm sure you've heard. Well, I know you've heard of the Orrin and Orson West case,
Yep.
and I'm sure everybody in here tonight is probably just really wanting to hear about this. Let me just scroll back here. I'm just going to take just a couple questions here, Chris, before we segue into it. Chris, I grew up in the Seattle area, and Washington tends to raise lots of serial killers. Why do you think that is?
That's a very interesting question. So I interviewed Wesley Allen Dodd. You're probably familiar with him in the Washington area. He was in Walla Walla State Prison. He was a serial child killer. And I was actually one of the last interviews with him. He was on death row. And, you have the Green River Killer up there. And, obviously in the Bay Area, you have what's the most recent guy, the Golden State guy, and who broke. He was broken through the DNA for genetics, and I know that's a fascination of yours too, right? I mean, I know you're big into well, that would be cool. You need to follow that. You need to follow that dream because you would be really, really good at it.
I really was so nerdy at that DNA. I love it.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. And so, I don't know if it's in the water. I don't know, what the problem is up there, but it seems like there's some wackadoodles. That's for sure.
Yes, wackadoodles. That's a good way of putting it, basically. It's interesting.
Thank you, Heidi.
All right, look at Jenny's even saying the Wests, please. Yes. Okay, so now let's get into this.
Okay.
So, recap, we know children are reported missing on the 21st of December, which happens to be a Monday. One of the things I always say, for some reason in the cases that I cover, it seems to be a Monday that these children go missing. I don't know what it is. 2 days before the children went missing, there was surveillance. So the Wests, right, Jacqueline and Trezell have 6 children, 2 biological, 2 adopted, who is Orrin and Orson, and then these other 2 children, some are saying they're adopted, some people are saying they're foster kids. So 6 in total. But on Saturday, 2 days before, these 4 children are seen going into a van. We don't know which 4 children, but we know only 4, not 6, go into this van, go to Bakersfield to see grandma for vacation. Okay, so you've seen the interview, correct?
Yes.
What are your first if you could share your first thoughts or impressions of this interview?
Okay, so the first place I want to start is, and I just wrote it out here. I don't know if you can see it.
No.
Okay, so this is called the victim continuum. Okay. So over here, low, medium, high.
Okay.
And then and over here, environment, situation. Okay.
Yep.
Right. Environment, circumstance, situation. Okay. So with the victim continuum, first of all, we have to ask 3 questions. What's the environment? What's the situation? What's the circumstance? Okay. And then we need to compare that to, is this low risk activity? Is this medium risk activity? Or is this high risk activity? Okay. So the lower the risk level to the associated crime, the higher consideration given, okay, to the victim being targeted by a specific offender, and they're known, okay? The higher the risk level then to the associated crime, then the higher probability the offender is a stranger to the victim.
Right.
So we need to ask a couple of questions.
Yep.
Is the situation, environment, and circumstance, do they correlate to a low, medium, or high risk activity? What do you think?
Low.
Okay, I would agree with you. Okay, so the situation is potentially they were last seen where?
At home.
At home. So that would also encompass their environment, right?
Correct.
Okay, where at home? What was the environment they were last seen in?
At the patio in the backyard.
Yeah, in the backyard, right? So backyard. Okay, is that a low, medium, or high risk activity?
I still would say low.
Okay, so that would go into the circumstances as a whole. So right now, the victim continuum tells us that they're probably known to the offender.
Right.
Okay? Right now. So investigators hopefully are running off of this formula. Okay.
And it sounds like they are.
Right. And so let's look at a comparative analysis to Elizabeth's farm. She's
Yep.
in her bedroom. Okay. That a low, medium, or high risk activity.
Low.
Very low. Okay. She just evaporates out of her house. Okay. So was the victim or was the suspect known to the offender? Yes. Okay. i.e., there was a connection back to the home. Okay. So in this circumstance, there's a couple of things we want to look at initially. When you have about 72 hours, but the first 3 hours, as you know, other people have called them the golden hours for like medical care and that kind of stuff.
Right.
For children, okay, that first 3 to 6 hours is critical.
Right.
Okay? Very critical. Okay. So the first things the cops have to figure out is when they go on scene is immediately go into the house. Okay. I didn't see that personally yet. Okay. I saw them drive around the neighborhood and I watched your videos. Okay. And so what are your thoughts about that?
About them going in the house or in general about what you're just saying?
Yeah. Both in general. I don't want to keep talking.
Yeah. 6 hours is critical. I agree. Especially given their age, 3 and 4. And dad is saying they were at the patio. First thing you're going to go is at the house, in and out. Agreed.
Yep. Okay. So the second piece of this now puzzle comes into the victimology and the history of the family. Okay. So the initial search that takes place. Okay. And you know, police officers are trained, go into the house, look under the beds, do all the things that any, you know, stricken parent would do, right? 10 times over. Okay. And then you go back and you do it again. Okay. And sometimes you have to do it 2 or 3 times because little kids, you know, are known to go sleep in closets or
they go hide and fall asleep.
Hide and seek. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a game. Okay.
Yeah.
So once those pieces of the puzzle are done and you have nothing happening at that moment, okay, now you have a critical decision. And the critical decision is you start looking within inside of that first circle. Okay. You start looking at the family dynamics. You start looking at if this is a CPS situation, is this a, you know, Department of Social Services situation. And in California, you know, because that's where I did my career, has a real extensive, you know, social services program. Okay. People are vetted, but, you know, they're not necessarily vetted, you know, 100%. Okay. But they could be. Okay. And so then you start looking at those dynamics quickly. Okay. And the third piece of that dynamic then is you start looking for RSOs, or what they call 290s. Okay. Registered sex offenders.
Right.
In the geographic region. And there are 25 of them around that neighborhood.
And I think 11 close, right? 11 close by.
Exactly. Yep. And then there are 5 that are not mapped, and one of them is a high priority. He's what they call a red dot. Okay. And that's somebody who, you know, has the victimology of those types of victims. Okay. So you immediately want to dive into that scenario quickly.
Right. Because you want to rule that in or out.
Quickly. Right.
Yeah.
And so they do what they call fourth waiver searches. Where you go ring doorbells. Remember the old, you know, knock and talks? Okay. You know, that's where you want to, the reason those are in place is for scenarios like this. So, you show up on the doorstep and say, hey, you know, hey, Frank, you know, I'm here, you know, Detective so-and-so, got a minute? You know, yeah, sure. You know, come on in. Okay. Well, by the way, you're a fourth waiver, i.e. you're out on parole or probation. And so you don't have any Fourth Amendment rights because you signed that off, because technically you're still in custody. Okay. You're just out in the public arena, and you start diving into that. Dogs, quickly. Go ahead.
Okay. And so in that point now, they go and look, they talk to these guys, but there's surveillance that pops up from the neighbor. Now, the neighbor shows these children never left the yard. There's no sign of the children, and there's no sign of the children walking out the front. And there's only one way the children could go, which is through the gate where where Trezell was standing, and then kind of left post for a minute and then came back, and lo and behold, these children are gone. He did not search the backyard. He did not search the sides of the house. Let me rephrase that. No one in the video searched the sides and around. And then he goes into the front. He leaves, goes for 6 minutes around a loop, comes back, and then stands in the front yard for 13 minutes before waiting for the cops to come. Still has not searched the front yard, hasn't searched the adjacent yards, didn't go to the neighbor's house, didn't go to knock. To me, in my opinion, as a parent who has no idea where my child is, I'm scrambling and I'm going to go, oh my gosh, have you seen my kids? Can you help me? I haven't seen my blah, 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 blah. Freaking out, right? And then waiting on the phone. Okay. Yeah. I can't find my children. I'm walking around. Here's the address, and keep going. What I find interesting. Okay. So we don't have any sign of children leaving the yard. And so I can understand. And I think about you all the time saying, we haven't left the house. We haven't left the house yet. So just to finish up though, he's done his 6-minute tour, comes back, waits 13 minutes. Police arrive, and he must have said something to the police because they go the same way as where he searched, and he climbs in his vehicle and goes the exact same way. Then comes back. Notable, wifey doesn't do anything at this point. So
where is she at this point? I can't remember. Is she in do we know where she is at this point? We
see her a little bit come walking out to go talk to the police. And then I'm not fully sure 100% if she went back in the house or she's just waiting there and you just can't see her. But he does this other loop, and he does not seem to want to go the other way. He goes the same exact way. Well, if your kids aren't that way, and how much can you search in 6 minutes, right? Notable, he told the chief 15 to 20 minutes he was searching. So okay, I'll let you talk, and then I have another thing to ask.
No, keep going. I'm listening. Because I'm fascinated by your thoughts. So, finish your thought. I mean, there's obviously, right, we'll call these flags, right? These are red flags. Red flags, right? How many do we have? How many do we have so far? Like, I think you mentioned
the backyard or the side.
Okay, 1,
the front.
2. I'm writing them down.
Kids on camera.
3.
Didn't searched for 6 minutes, not on foot. Decided to go around the loop.
Okay, 4.
Right? Notable. It's only a 3 to 4 minute drive. So how fast was he going, or how slow was he going? And he said he talked to a gentleman about the children. So he's still back in record time. Then gets out, waits 13 minutes, which another red flag, let's just say. So we're at what, 5 now?
5,
okay.
Yep.
Okay. Here's the weird thing though. I want to back up just a sec.
Okay.
At 4:30 on camera, this is bizarre. The lights flick on and off 3 times. On, off, on, off, on, off. What the heck is that about? Because it's right after he's been in his yard. You can see him kind of bending over and standing up. And then these lights flick off. Now, here's the thing. Info snack, everybody. Info snack. Here's the thing. He says on his interview.
Let me get some water.
Right? You might need some popcorn for this one.
Bring it.
Okay, so he says, the reporter says, what time did you call the cops and what time did your children go missing? And he says, between 4:30 and 5, that's it. That's when everything played out. Guess what time those lights flicked on and off?
Hit me.
4:30. Same exact time he says.
So
time.
He's cutting the wood allegedly in the backyard, right?
Throwing wood. Yeah, throwing wood.
Yep. And by the way, I checked the temperature. It's 34 degrees around that time.
Today.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
So,
430. I thought I had 56. Why did I have 56?
well, it dropped. It went from 56 to a low of 34.
Okay,
So it could be in between that. Yeah, good
which
point.
in Canada is still warm, but
Yeah, exactly.
you guys down there.
Could be.
um,
So you've
okay,
got the another red flag. Let's add this one, right? You've got the kids with that temperature playing in the backyard with chalk.
right. Only on a concrete patio, which is cold.
Right, 3 to 4 years
That's
old.
cold to you
Right.
guys,
Right.
right? Right, 3 or 4. Now, tell me something.
Mhm.
What 3 and 4-year-old that you ever know would sit in one spot playing with chalk?
Well, if you ask my wife, she'll tell you that I never sit in any
Right.
spot for
Right.
more than 5 minutes. Right. No, it doesn't happen. All right.
Right.
It doesn't happen.
So
How you going to? Well, remember their attention span is 3 minutes.
right. For each
Total.
age, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Minute,
So
minute
you
a
have
year.
3-year-old for 3 minutes and 4-year-old. Okay, let's add that flag. How many we at, you guys? 6 flags, seven flags. What are we at? Right?
Yeah, we're at 6 or 7.
Here's the other thing. There's no artwork on that patio.
8.
Okay. Here's the other info snack. 4:30, the lights flick on and off. Where's the kids? Where's the kids? 4:33, he's in his vehicle. So in 3 minutes, a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old is no longer on the property. How far can they go? Let me tell you. I did a little searchy search. And when you do a map, an adult can walk maybe a block in 3 minutes, right? But now you have a 3 and 4-year-old with legs this size, okay? Probably pretty close to mine because I'm only 5 feet tall. So I'm not far off from what a little kid can walk. You can't go far. So why are you hopping in the van?
What do you think? I mean, what's your thought? Why is he doing this?
Well, everybody's going to have a nice little video tomorrow. However, there's a little bit of a push and pull on this, okay? Because I'm not saying for sure, but I extracted all the weird things they said and talked about, and it's starting to look like they need it or they want it or it was made to look like a kidnapping. Okay, and I don't want to say that for the 100% accuracy. I'm just saying, holy crap, there's something going on. Why would you not walk on foot if they're only gone for 3 minutes and you climb in a van and you take them east? When he says they're going to be rambunctious, super odd line. Why are you talking about that? To me, it's like, well, if we're thinking kidnapping or the parents are thinking, okay, we got to talk like this is a kidnapping, then they are going to be rambunctious, because if you're a 4-year-old and you know that's not mommy and daddy and they're taking you, what would you act? Rambunctious? Possibly.
Yeah, they call that did the victim contribute to their own victimization? There's an actual term for that.
Okay, look at that.
Right. And of course, a 3-year-old can't contribute to their own victimization. So right. So rambunctious does not fit the behavioral analysis of this problem.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Okay. So I'm glad you're picking up what I'm putting down. Okay. So the other weird thing, okay, is the first line would support the theory of wanting it to be a kidnapping, because we don't let them, we keep them on the, do not let them go on the dirt in the backyard. You keep them close. Let me fill in the blank. Otherwise, you're going to be stolen or kidnapped. This is how I feel about this. And then I'm like, well, does this support it? Now, let me back up. When I pulled all these words out, I didn't think of the theme yet. I'm like, let's just pull the weird things and take a look at it. And that's when I went, you buggers. For lack of a better term, because I mean, I turned on the light. You're in a van. Aren't there lights? And I said, well, maybe he misspoke, but he did turn the light on in the backyard when everything played out 3 times. So is he flicking the light? What is your take on flicking the lights on? Is this a red flag, meaning is he signaling somebody, or is he just playing the game, Or is this like, what could it be? I'm not saying he did do this or there is a kidnapping or, but the light flickering is a red flag to me. What do you think?
There's probably 100 reasons we could come up with that. It could be into his sophistication and impulse is he trying to, like you're saying, and like we're thinking, okay, is he trying to play it? Is this, is this a play that, okay. One of the questions that one to help for me to answer that question would be, did he know that the neighbor had a video management system? Okay. Do we have evidence of that somewhere? Do we know that?
No.
Maybe somebody can help. Have them put that in your comments section.
Yeah, let me know in the comments, guys. One thing that I will say is the neighbor made comments of how weird it was how he parked his car parallel because the two houses across the street have cameras. My question was, does he always park like that or only these two dates, the 19th and the 21st? If it's the 19th and 21st, then I feel that those children did live in that house and they need to look near the house.
Yeah, the driveway there. So we have to kind of put this in the what if category, right? Because that driveway does come up, and it could correlate to the vehicle, consistently parking in that position.
Correct.
That is a possibility still.
Because I'm just covering us for a second.
There you go. Okay, that's perfect.
So so there is that, and maybe that's what he always does. We don't know. If he always does it, then I would lessen the chance of him purposefully parking that way.
And look at all the tire marks on the concrete.
Yes. So now
that looks like a consistent pattern.
Right. It could be, right? Now.
Yep.
Now the other thing too is if you look to the right there, you see a bunch of holes there where the FBI dug.
Yep.
Can you shed some light on why they look? Oh, maybe I'll show you. Sorry, I'll show you again. Why do they look that way? Like, is that a method? A typical method they would do to dig, or is that like just to find minor, I shouldn't say minor evidence, but how do I word this? Are they looking for bodies, or are they looking in that kind of thing? Are they looking for just like something looked off and they're going to methodically dig?
Yeah. So there's a couple things there. I mean, that's consistent with prodding. So they use a prod for soft soil. To see if it's ever been disturbed. Hey, go back to that picture again. The one hole that concerns me is, see the table into the back?
Yep.
Is that a hole or is that a weed in the back?
Where the table is? Let me just
headed towards the pool there. See it in between the fence and that little table back there.
Oh, back in the back. Like where that little house is. Or, it's hard to see. I don't think so. I think I had another. Let me just look there.
Okay. Yeah, I can't tell back by the table there by the wood.
Yeah, you see the wood. I don't know if we did. I have to take another look at some other pictures if there are some. But let's go back. I think that is just that. I don't think that's a hole or anything there. But he was seen, you see where the gate is? He was seen over near the opposite side, it looked like, in the video. But I can't confirm that. I'm not too sure.
Okay, and the other thing that we have here is you notice there's a gate to that back driveway.
Yeah, that's the gate he's talking about. That's the only spot these children can leave from.
Okay, so let's presuppose the children disappeared before any of this.
Yeah.
Could he have parked that vehicle in the back of the house and through that gate and then driven out of there? And now the second play here is the play that we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay,
so that's, that would be something that we would have to process, right? Put it up. And one of the things that you would want to do is in an investigation is you get what we used to call the war room. And you get the storyboard, right? You take these, big sheets of paper, right? Put them up on the board And then that would be one of the questions, or one of the concepts. Could he have driven the van in the backyard? And you put a big question mark by it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second piece of that later on, as everybody is sitting in the room, okay, the case agent typically would stand up and say, why?
Right.
And then you have another piece of paper next to that, okay? And everybody just starts throwing out stuff against the wall, okay? And you start writing those things down, okay? And eventually, you basically try to storyboard, theoretical possibilities. And then what you take a look at the evidence, and does the evidence correlate to those theoretical possibilities?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, you scratch them off immediately, and you don't go down those rabbit holes because you waste too much time.
Yeah, I see that.
So,
Now, one of the interesting things you might find is the dogs came into the house, had the scent of the boys, but not outside. Now, if they're on a patio playing with chalk, the dogs would pick that up, wouldn't they?
yeah, I mean, yeah, dogs are dogs. I mean, sometimes they catch scent immediately. Sometimes the handlers, have to get them upwind, downwind,
Right.
almost, So there's a lot of variables there, but yeah, you would expect, the one of the things you would want to probably think through is, yeah, you would expect maybe the dogs would pick up that scent immediately. But anything again, that goes into the up on the board as a possibility. And what would be really cool for your office back there? You got to get a board, because your mind is so it processes such great information. And I know your followers, they're just fantastic. But you need a little board. You got to get Mr. Linda to get you like a little easel, and then you can chalk some of those things out. Go ahead.
We actually have, my little one has an easel, but I also have a whiteboard across from me.
So you're a list person.
I'm kind of everything, to be honestly. I do lists, I do visual, I do timelines. I'm very everything, I think. Patterns,
Okay.
And then I question all the time why. Exactly like you say, I'm always constantly why. Like in Lori Vallow, why did she come back? Why is this? So I'm always constantly. So when I'm looking at Trezell and Jacqueline, why is he pushing them to go this way, east, and not west? The neighbor even says, did you go this way? No, I was gonna come that way, but I decided it was dark and cold and was gonna call the cops. And then one of the other things that I feel like is, he pushes them that way, but I find them, how do I word this? Okay, in Barry Morphew, I always say he was a hider. I dub him that, and I dubbed Letitia a distancer. I feel in their actions that they're lazy in their actions, Trezell and Jacqueline. And what I mean by that is, if this was something that they were part of and they were planned, they were very lazy in it. Meaning they would have searched a little bit longer, and you think maybe even fake looking in the front yard. So in my opinion, I'm not of the popular opinion where go to Bakersfield. I feel like if they are this lazy and something happened to those children, then they don't look at this area, because that's where they're confident they're walking around. In fact, she says, I definitely know they're not walking around. And she says, they're going to be here, he says, in this area. And he wants to search the houses. So I feel like, oh crap, go look here, but don't look just around the corner over here. That's
right, head fake, like a head fake, right?
Right, but I think so lazy that it's close. It's close. It's not going to be like the distance, like Letitia Stout. She goes the distance. I find these guys couldn't even make a picture of a chalk writing on the ground or whatever. You know what I mean? Right. That's my intuition is like, or my best guesstimate, judging on what he's saying. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, if he is processing that, ahead of things, right?
Right.
One of the things that, first of all, you have two victims potential. Okay. So you have double the thought process.
Right.
Because you can handle, remember, as who you covered, extensively, CW. I'm not going to name it because you said
Yeah.
you will never name him again. I'm not going to name it.
Yeah.
Okay. You're welcome. That he right. You could see, all of his problems, right? I'm not going to go there, but with
Right.
this guy, okay, they don't anticipate the amount of work that's necessary post-mortem.
Right.
So they have to scramble. Okay. And that scramble sometimes looks exactly like eggs. Okay.
Right.
And so what you may be picking up on and what others are picking up on, and I listened to, to mention Duty Ron last night, he had a former homicide guy on, and what we're seeing potentially is, not all the eggs getting into the grill. Okay. And so as a result of that, believe it or not, that's what there's a terminology for that. And it's called leakage. Just what it sounds like. Okay?
Right.
And those are pre-indicator and post-indicator behaviors.
Okay.
So what they do is, they start, going, oh man, I didn't think about this. I didn't think about that. Okay. So they start filling that void in. Okay?
Right.
And that void becomes so crazy sometimes where people just go, seriously?
Yeah.
You're processing that? Okay. A mountain lion? Really? Right. Okay. See, that's leakage. Okay. And so when you start connecting it to the probabilities of reality, okay, you have to process, well, that may be one of those things that somebody didn't think about. Okay. Because there's going to be, thousands of people that follow, It's a Crime, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands that follow It's a Crime who go, really? I'm not buying that one yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, it's a long answer, and I apologize.
No, don't apologize. It's fascinating.
Well, to answer your question, that could be what's going on here. Okay. Where they're in the curly shuffle right now.
Right.
Okay. They're trying to scramble eggs. Okay. And everybody's going, yeah, but it's not in the bowl. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not in the bowl yet.
Wrong recipe.
Yeah. He wasn't anticipating the neighbor with the video. Do we know if the cops have that yet? Do we know if the police have that yet?
The neighbor said that the FBI has it. Interestingly, the chief said he hasn't even reviewed it.
Well, and that's not a mark on the chief because
no, I'm just saying it's interesting because we don't know who has it, right? Like, yeah.
He's an administrator too. Remember that, okay? His guys on the boots on the ground are, he's probably going to get a call tonight saying, "Hey, chief, I forgot to tell you."
Right.
Don't do that again.
Yeah, no, he's been great, and he's actually been. I'm surprised as how much he's actually saying. To be honest, like if we compare it with the Morphew case, we've heard sweet tweet from what's his name, Speezy. Yeah, right. but with this chief Walker, I believe his name is John Walker. Mm-hmm. He's been saying, like, listen, none of the neighbors, they haven't seen any children ever. Yeah. And he's also saying, because the reporter is like, well, can I say this on my newscast tonight? Can I say that? And he says, can I say that you do not have physical evidence for sure, in this at all? And he's like, that's correct. And can I say you have a lot of circumstantial? And so he's answering quite a few questions on this, but it's been interesting how he wasn't too sure about the video from the neighbor. I found it interesting because he should know about it, meaning not saying he's not, he's fibbing or anything. I'm just saying, man, he should know because to see this. So, and he's been saying, like, we are not leaving the house. We've seen no indicators that the children left the home. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So we need to be right here. And so he's doing a great job saying stuff because we normally don't hear anything from
and here's the reason why.
because you have
right
yeah, that's right.
here's the reason why they, in order to go in. Sorry, in order
Oh,
to go from here to here. Okay, no,
yeah,
she's fine. In order to go from here to here, i.e., you got to keep moving up, right? In order to say, hey, this is a stranger over here, the environment, situation, and circumstance has to change.
yeah,
Okay. And until they can change those dynamics, okay, then they have to stay where statistically, as Greg Cooper, who was the designer of the continuum, Greg has said, and he's taught thousands of law enforcement officers across the country, look, you can't go to point B until you have eliminated point A. And
yeah,
sometimes it's painful, and sometimes it's wrong. Okay. But you have to get to that place where you go, it's either painful or wrong. Okay. And then you can move to the next dynamic. So your intuition is 100% correct. It may be wrong. Mine may be wrong. Okay?
yeah.
But it's correct based on statistical and data and training that tells us right up front. Okay. Right up front. So, and that's why they haven't left the house yet.
Yeah, and I'm
You can bet though they're processing the neighborhood. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
oh yeah, no, I'm interjecting, but they're going through the neighborhood, and I understand that they're interviewing. The thing is, they moved September 10th into this home, and a lot of people are saying, well, I don't know if the kids ever came
Yeah, interesting.
to the house. So would they pick up? They'd probably still pick up a scent, right? Maybe it's on the couch, or. But
Yeah, I mean, it's those. It's there are so many what ifs. Okay.
yeah,
And yeah, could you would hope and you would expect that, yeah, the dog would hit on something, and and that would lead you to point B. Okay. But I worked a little girl. Her name was Leticia Hernandez. December 16th, 1989. You can look her up. She just evaporated out of her front yard. Okay. And at the time I was a dog handler. Okay? And I was asked to come in and do a scent search with her. And you just you hook the leash up, the lead, and you pull the dog's nose down. And the German command for that is Zook. Okay. And so the dog goes down and starts to do a search. Well, we went behind all kinds of just crazy places. Okay. Well, she was found up in the mountains, like 30 miles away. Okay. So, and that was actually the first case that got me transferred into homicide. That was 1990.
wow.
She was December 16th, 89 is when she was kidnapped. And in like 5 months later, I was in homicide, and I spent the rest of my career there. Okay. And so to the dogs, yeah, they're great tools, but they're not always 100%. Now, attack dogs, yeah, you're going to get them. You're going to bite them because you're going to see them. Okay. But scent dogs are just that, scent. They need scent to operate. And,
Yes.
So anyway, how did he get in the car from the passenger side?
Why and how did he get in the car from the passenger side?
Yeah,
Well, he had a Econoline van, right? And so he climbed in through the passenger side and hopped into the driver's side and then drove off.
Yeah, that was weird. I'm that's another red flag for me too. Yeah,
and why? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
I don't know. I hate to speculate on that one right now. I mean, there's so many variables that we could probably read into that, but I don't know. I'm sure they're going to ask him.
The neighbor just says he thinks, in his opinion, that it was because there's the two houses that had the surveillance across the street. Now, my thing is going back to this September 10th when they moved.
Mm-hmm.
I believe if we could figure out if the van was parked the Saturday and the Monday, if that was abnormal, then I think the kids were there up until that week, and something went down, and then something had to be like, Monday, we need to call the cops and let everything play out, and we got to get going. As his terms, we got to get going. That's what I think. If we could figure that out. If he always parked like that, then we got a bigger problem, because then you got to figure that out, right?
Yep. And yeah, no, I saw, and one of your viewers said, are the kids being interviewed? The other kids? That's a great question. And the answer is yes. CPS has stepped in, and Department of Social Services. You can bet they're sitting down with clinical, forensic interviewers.
Yeah.
Who deal with children all day long.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the other thing. Okay. If the kids are being interviewed, which you said they are, one of the things they're going to be talking about is, have you seen these children? Possibly, right? So, so, I mean, I'm not sure about their level of planning or how astute they are, let's just say. Mm-hmm. But if that's the case, I couldn't see them being missing for 4 months and then they call it in, because you have 4 other children. So that's why I also lean towards more, it was, a last minute Saturday, maybe something happened Saturday or Friday night or Saturday, and then they took the kids to Bakersfield, which only 4 was shown. Admittedly, we don't know which 4. We don't know which 4 children, but 4 of them went. Mm-hmm. And so they come back, and then they had 2 days to be like, okay, now it's time to call.
We got a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So that's the other thing is they shouldn't say they were missing on Monday. They were reported missing. It's just like Suzanne Morphew. Yep. She didn't go missing that day. We don't know. She just was reported missing on, right? On Mother's Day.
She vanished.
Yeah. So it's the same. It's this kind of same issue. Now, do you find it weird that he did not go the other way, or did not want anybody to go the other way? Is that something you think, or you think, maybe not?
No, I mean, it was consistent, right? He went in that video, you can see him consistently go in the same direction. So yeah, you have to, that is definitely right. We call that DLR, right? Does not look right.
Right.
Okay. Right. Remember DLR?
I do remember DLR.
That's DLR right there. In fact, I'm going to put another flag. So yes, now we're up to 10, Linda.
Okay.
We're up to 10. Okay.
So here's the other that goes part and parcel with that. Okay. So the area that he's searching is like mostly field. Okay. Right? Okay. Mostly desert, couple houses. Other side, quite a few. And it's very quick to get to the highway that way. Notable, he used that same sort of way to go to Bakersfield, which is west. Why is he going out east and then west? So what's he avoiding and why?
Yeah. And so we don't know. But to this point, to this question here, go back to the other house. I would agree with you. For 2 reasons, Rita. The first reason is you have to do that just to eliminate it, because if it is a homicide, situation, then the first question is going to be asked by the defense attorney to that investigator is, well, did you search the other house to see if there was any evidence that eliminated my client? Okay, so yeah, you want to get a search warrant, pull it on the old house, or get consent from the new owner of the apartment or the house or whoever has it. Get in there with an alternate light source, some luminol, spray the heck out of that house, hit it with an ALS, and see what you got. And if there's anything there, bingo. You can get some DNA, maybe some touch DNA. We'll see.
Now, retired Sergeant Melinda had another question too, and it didn't pop up, so I'm going to read it. She says, awesome questions and answers. Do you believe that there could possibly be more to the story than just the boys missing? There are many murders missing and more from my investigation, along with another one's investigating.
Yeah, I mean, there's always more to the story. We used to call that film at 11, because you always see it on the news.
Right.
It's the worst. What's the worst feeling as an investigator? When you got a journalist out there sticking a mic in a witness's face, he says, "Oh yeah, I saw everything."
Right.
Okay. Why did you tell me?
Right. Yeah, and I just talked to you.
Exactly. It's like,
I just talked to you. What are
what?
you talking about? You know it
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. Really, what happened? So, what is Shelby? What's she
Shelby
asking?
says, what are your thoughts on the boys being sold? And also, how the heck did these people get approved to foster or adopt any children?
You want to take that? What are your thoughts?
No, you go on this one, because
Uh,
this one I'd like to know too.
okay, so yeah, the Department of Social Services has an extensive. Just go when you get a chance after the show here tonight. Go look at Department of Social Services, California Department of Social Services, and look up their adoption policies. Okay, they now in the last 10 years, those policies have become a little more lenient. Okay, where the background check requirements are still pretty significant, right? But some of the social requirements have been loosened up, okay, because they in looking for the right combination for these poor children who are victims, okay, including these two little sweet babies that we're talking about tonight, okay. So they have to go through an extensive background check. They have to go through an extensive, even a psychological check, believe it or not. The state of California mandates that. And then they can be put into two categories: adoption, or foster. Okay, that a psychologist signs off, and a couple other folks, to CPS and a variety of other folks sign off. Child Protective Services. That okay, this family is suitable for one of these two situations. In this case, it was obvious that the children had some very difficult circumstances. We don't know what the biological mom's totality is, and I'm not here to judge anybody. But these kids ended up with this particular family, and the courts agreed that yes, okay, they should go over there. Now, there has to be a question of whether or not Department of Social Services was still engaged in relationship to managing the the children through the years. Okay, sometimes the courts mandate that based on the victimology of the children. If the children come from an abusive environment, the courts will mandate that adoptive parents continually check into the court to say, hey, how are the children? Let's see the children. Let's get them some psychological evaluation to make sure that there's not post-traumatic stress and a variety of other things taking place. So it's a pretty extensive process. And so one of the questions is going to be, what were the supervising conditions in relationship to these children as a whole? And Department of Social Services and CPS is going to be asked extensively about that by the investigators.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. And so looking at that too, because if they just were adopted, a year ago, I believe it was the year they fostered them earlier. And then in 2019, or that I believe is when they were adopted. Mm-hmm. So the question that you start thinking is, okay, was this just a last minute something happened type deal? Shelby's asking, were they sold? What's the likelihood of anybody doing that once they adopt? I mean, does it happen? Have you seen that before? I'm not saying it's not impossible, but how does that work on the year?
It certainly is a consideration, right? This would be one that we would put up on the board. It's just a really great observation. And is it a possibility? Yeah, anything's possible at this point, right? But how many days are we into this now, right? They disappeared on the 21st.
Almost a month, 3 weeks. Yep.
Almost a month. Okay. So there's a high probability that if that was a scenario, they're going to be looking at phone records, computer records, pings, all the other forensics evidence. Go ahead. Yeah.
Tech. Remember, they took all our tech. Yeah. Just tech.
And what they have there's some systems that you literally just go plug, okay, and it will just dump everything that phone has been processing. So they have that up on a board right now somewhere, and it's sitting with an analyst who's doing a link analysis, and they're checking all around those tower pings, and so that's the other side of the investigation that's going on. And the feds are, as you know, more than anybody with the Vallow case, that put our boy in the back lot there by the fire pit.
That's right.
Okay, so that's happening behind the scenes, and they can dump that stuff pretty quickly.
Now, I have a question because this came up yesterday with the chief. They searched Silver Saddle Ranch, I believe it's called. They said it was a 20-acre property.
Okay.
He said he had 50 personnel on there. There was some sort of tip that came in that somebody saw a white van. So they went there. Now, here's my question. To have 50 people going on this property, yes, it's big, because he even said there's 20 acres. Would the police have to have a pretty substantial reason to go out there to bring 50 people along? Like, is this something like, look, this is a big property, we need all the help we can get, let's just either rule this out or not?
So to answer your question, it may be nothing. Okay. And so because this is a situation that this community now finds themselves in, okay, it's a small community, 14,000 people, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you have 2 children just vanish off of the earth. Okay. So the rule of the day is resources. Okay.
Right.
And quickly apply them, okay, to keep the investigation moving. Okay. I can tell you, through experience with missing children and children who have been subsequently homicide victims, you can go this way quickly, okay, by getting a lot of resources and say, okay, I need 60 guys over here. Go hit that field, do a grid search, get it out of the way. Okay. While they're doing that, the investigator is actually going this way. Okay. He's going the other way. He or she is going the other way. Okay. So it frees them up to do what they need to do. Okay. So don't put too much, don't hold a jacket on that hook yet.
Yeah, I don't on that. I found it interesting because it's been 3 weeks too. Yep. And somebody had mentioned that it's been there for a while, this tip. Yep. So I also was thinking, because they're looking, don't leave the house. And a lot of people are like, well, how can we search? And the chief saying you can go search wherever. Like, well, I'm never going to say don't search. But to me, I was thinking, okay, you can go wherever you want to go search because they haven't left the house. So if you want to go out in the desert, have at her. They haven't left the house yet. And that's the $1 billion question, isn't it? How the heck did they leave that house if they're not in the house and there's no signs of them leaving the house? So where the heck are they? And
those holes may be an indication. We don't know. I mean, I don't want to speculate, but the holes being in the backyard, were they dug by the investigators, or were they there previous?
FBI came in.
Yeah. So there you go. Some of that, it may be, some type of evidentiary, value. And it looks like there was 1, 2, 3, 4, like 8 holes, if I remember your picture.
7. Let's look.
Okay. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Yeah. So yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem.
And it would lead for the FBI to go and just dig a yard up. They'd have to have something to go on to even. It's not like, hey, let's just look over here and poke a hole, right? Like there's something to go on. We don't know what, but it would be, right?
Yeah, and if they typically would have put a tent up of some sort, do we know? And they, and they would have, filtered out, a variety of stuff. And we saw that in Suzanne Morphew's case, right?
Yes.
Remember when they went down by the riverbed? And it's a very methodical, it's an archaeological dig. So if they just went in there and prodded and dug and prodded and dug and prodded and dug, okay, there's a method to that madness, but it may be also that madness is they're eliminating certain things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
kind of like you said before, even in the Morphew case where they got two search warrants and they were going in. When you first go in, you're either eliminating them or you're including them.
Right.
It's for two purposes, or one, or some, could be, a minimum of two anyways. Is like,
Right.
Let's look at this. And if they're, if they're part of it, they're part of it. If they're not, they're not, but we got to figure it out either way. And did she leave the house?
Yeah, you got to eliminate it. And if they go back a second time, that's even, problematic times two.
And from my understanding, if the judge gives you the go ahead, that's a big thing.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Linda. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like trying to sell a car twice.
Right.
Yeah.
And then still say it's a great deal.
to the same buyer, buyer. I just bought this car. Well, yeah, we're back. It's got wheels now.
Right.
What? Wheels?
Yeah, and the price is a little higher.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So,
got it. So now let's go back just one sec, because I want to hear about this flicking of the lights. I don't remember quite if that was a definitive. Is that a red flag? Is the lights a red flag, or could be a red flag?
Yeah, yes, it could be a red flag, and it could also be part of the play, to like you were thinking, right? But I don't want to go on a limb right now. It could also, it could also be him, just turning on the light, saying, "Well, look, we can say we looked in the backyard." Okay, right. To your point, right? So
yeah,
you'd want to get that in an interview, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, it could be a couple, 3, 4 things, because you're sitting there going, well, wait a minute. Why is it flicking on and off like that? Is he? Isn't he? Is he? Isn't he? Like, and then it's like, yeah, it could be him saying, okay, yeah, like you're saying, I search, see, watch, look, I'm turning on the light and I'm flicking the light off. Or it could be, why are you doing that? Is somebody watching? And if that's the case, then there's more than 2 people in this mess. But I guess that's where you put that up on the board, right? Could there be somebody else in there? Who were the people around the area? Who was driving? Did they go near the house? Did they meet up with them? Right?
Yeah. I mean, does the wife play a role here? That he comes in and says, "Hey, you're now part of this." Okay, and so they've got to separate those two. The cops were really smart when they got there to set somebody with them, and that's what you want to do with parents initially, especially in a missing child, because if the child's found, then the last thing you want to do is start looking for the parents. Okay, so what good investigation, good police work 101 is you look at an investigator and say, okay, you've got the family, stay with them, period. Don't leave them, let them do whatever they need to do, but you're not leaving. And so that's good police work by the fact that they assigned somebody. And she came out in the press conferences, the cops were with us, they wouldn't let us leave. Right. The other reason for that is spontaneous statements. Okay, what they call spontaneous statements. So where you'll get a suspect who leans over to the officer, and the officer doesn't say anything, and we know we can use that guy that I'm not going to name his initials or his name. Okay, where he just kept saying, oh, and the officer had his body camera going. Okay,
right. Well, look what I found, and look what I found, and look what
oh, look, her phone's here. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, those are all spontaneous. Okay. And that's evidence. Okay. That all goes into court. That's behavioral evidence. Go ahead.
So children go missing. Parents call the cops. Is it always that way where the cops, like, you're with them, or only when it's a little bit off, something's not right?
With missing kids, missing adults are a whole different ballgame, right?
Of course. Missing
kids, you've got 3 hours to 72 hours. Okay. The first 6 hours are the most critical. If it's like just, my child was playing, she's gone or he's gone. Okay. So immediately, the first thing the police want to do is get resources right to that house.
Yep.
Okay. And to answer your question, the next thing they want to do is they say, Chris, you sit here with mom and dad. Okay. We're going to go look through the house. Okay. You'll see mistakes made. And I'll just throw out John Benet Ramsey as a perfect example. Okay. Where the father just starts cruising through the house. Okay.
Right.
Next thing you know, he walks up the stairs with his daughter. Okay. So, well, that's the point. Okay. There's an investigator there. That investigator's responsibility is not to say, go search the house. Okay. That detective's responsibility is to say, hang on, I'll get an officer. Let's go outside for a minute and talk in case something's found. Okay. Right. I don't want you experiencing that trauma.
Right.
Okay? That's training 101. Okay. And so in this case, the fact that they took an officer, and typically it's a patrol officer, you sit down with that patrol officer, an investigator or somebody, probably a supervisor, made the decision, you're going to babysit this family quickly. And that was a really smart move because they may have gotten some information that we haven't even seen yet.
Of course.
That they haven't even put out on the, into the press conference, right?
Would they tell them not to look? Don't go looking?
It could be a 50-50. Once they show up, okay, typically you don't want the family, the mom and dad initially, once the cops get there, going looking. What you want to do is kind of start focusing with them and saying, okay, tell me about so-and-so. Tell me about this. Tell me about that. Do you have pictures? I need pictures quickly because you want to put, what they call a bolo out, right? Be on the lookout. Okay?
Yeah.
You want to get them into NCIC, National Crime Information Center, quickly. And that way, any of this information, as officers know, if they hit them up in a car somewhere and, an officer looks in the back seat and sees these two kids, if it's an NCIC fast, okay, that's why you need the parents with you to give me factual information, not about what happened yet. Okay. So we can get this information out quickly. So to answer your question, no, you don't want the parents searching right away. Not a missing child.
Possible, how tall, how much weighs, how much, what they're wearing. Interestingly, they were wearing the same thing.
I saw that. I'm going to put that down. You're at 11. Right. Good. Detective Linda.
Detective Linda. I come with the info snacks. I told you that.
You're awesome. Keep going. So you're at 11. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's 11 points here, and there's some that I would say even you double the flag up, right? Because some of them are really strange, like the 13-minute hanging out in the front yard before you call the officers. Here's one thing that's weird, or another thing. The chief says the call came in at 5:45 p.m. The neighbor has it in military time, but it was 14:30 when this all started, which is the same as what Trezell said between 4:30 and 5. But they're saying, the chief's saying, no, it was 5:45, and that Trezell told him he searched for 15 to 20 minutes before calling the cops. And chief says, yeah, we arrived within 5 minutes, which I believe that was what showed in cam. How is there such a discrepancy? Because I can see if Trezell didn't say in the interview, but he said between 4:30 and 5, that's when everything played out.
Mm-hmm. And does the video show, the first inclination is the video management system, is it allotted for daylight savings time?
That's what my question is, but then it would still be off.
Right. It would be an hour still. So, the CAD's not going to lie. Okay. When that 911 call comes in. Of
course. Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'm here learning. Go ahead.
I'm here learning. Are you kidding me?
No, we're both learning.
The only thing is when I looked on the sunset times, it was 4:45 that day. And in the camera, you can see it start to get dark out. So it still does not make sense to me.
We have to look at the sunset, right? Go look at what time did the sun go down there?
4:44 on December 21st.
Okay, so it's in that margin of error through the lens of that video management system, right? Is going to be determined on what the capability of that lens is.
Yeah, you can see it get dark.
Yeah, it's getting dark. I could tell too.
That's the problem. Then that's an hour difference, and we see the cops arrive at 4:52.
Okay, then so maybe the video management clock isn't correct, but the CAD system, the 911 call, is correct.
Of course, yeah.
And that's problematic then for that family, because they're saying between 4 and 5 when it's actually 5:45.
Right. Okay. So that makes it even worse in a sense, because if they're saying 4:30 their children were gone, then they waited to call the police an hour and 15 minutes later. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, an hour and 15 minutes later.
Yeah, that could be a problem.
Just a major problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what's going on here, right? In terms of
what's going on. Then you're really, and you said, and you're telling the chief you search for 15 minutes, but yet the neighbor's camera says something very different. You search for 6. Cherie says, Chris, in your experience, why would the parents go through such extensive procedures for adoption only to abandon the kids in some manner?
That's a great question. And so I would agree with you that most 99.9% of parents who adopt children who have been through traumatic experiences would not abandon them in such a manner. So then you have to look at, what was the what we call contributing victimization, meaning was this an accident that took place, and those kind of things. And so now you have to start looking at those dynamics. Was this an accident that turned into the death of a child, and now you have the other child, and now one child becomes an accident, one child becomes a specific intent act. And so now you have, a manslaughter versus and a homicide. So now they kind of, come together, and you have two problems here, first degree, because the second one now is obviously, premeditation. He's thinking about it, if that's the case. And we're not saying it is. We're not saying it is. So.
But if it is, and that's the thing too, is it's interesting, the situation, because you don't have just one child missing. You have 2. And that is, if we're even just playing it out as somebody came and took these children, it's a lot harder to take 2 children, 3 and 4 years old, than it is just take 1, right?
Yeah, totally agree. Great comment. Yeah.
Does it happen? I'm sure it does happen, but does it happen all that often that a predator would take 2 at a time? Or is that too risky for them?
Yeah, I mean, a stranger situation, yes, that could be. Wesley Allen Dodd did that. Okay, he killed 2 boys, right? But he was a hunter. Okay, in this situation doesn't even these people don't even fit that that profile at all. Right. Meaning that that behavioral profile, not profile. It just doesn't fit the narrative. Yeah. So my guess is going to be. And without knowing a lot more, initial brush is, if this is a situation that, just got out of hand, and then it turned into something that even got bigger, we may find that's going to be the end result at the end, or quite frankly, it could be as devious as, some of the other tragedies that we've all seen, taking place in the world today. So hopefully it's not, but
yeah,
odds are that unfortunately, this far into this, it could potentially have a real problem. at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hopefully they're into it. So what else you got, Miss Linda? I mean, this is a
Wow.
great conversation.
I'm so grateful that you're here and we're chatting about this, and so easy to chat with you too. So, and you're answering some amazing questions being flown at you by our awesome people in here. We have 2,674 people hanging out with us tonight. And I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody's super chats or
Me
their
too.
comments. I'm trying to do two things at once. I really do need somebody to help with me in this. Healing Within says Trezell also slipped and said when they accused them of not showing concern, Trezell said, I have been going through it for the last 2 days. Yeah, he did say that because they were asking, you're not showing any emotion. And he says, I've been going through it for the last 2 days. He did say that. But that was, remind me, you guys, and I should know this because I've been diving into this interview for so long. What day was it that they actually got interviewed? I think it was like 10 days later, wasn't it? Because they went missing on the 21st, and I think they didn't. I feel like it was a week and a little bit later. Somebody will know that answer.
Your people are just amazing, really smart.
They are super smart. Everybody's
smart.
so super smart.
Yeah.
If I missed anybody, you guys can put it in. Maybe the mods can put it.
23rd. Somebody said.
Oh, there you go. Jessica says, Chris McDonough, you look so handsome with your haircut. Congratulations.
Oh, my wife said, get a haircut. Okay.
Yes, dear.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jess.
Sergeant Melinda says, answer my question about seeing the doctors. Okay, I don't have that. Can you repeat it? And then we'll be sure to put that up. Sorry. It's really tricky to find all these super chats. For some reason, the thing that I use, it jumps. And so I miss sometimes, and then you can't even go back. It's crazy. Oh, December 23rd. So it was only 2 days. That's weird. Why did
He told the truth.
Some ways he did tell the truth. In some aspects he did. And then when he did some crazy things, it's like, no, that's not right. No, that's not right. So there we go. Now that it is December 23rd, I am leaning towards more, yes, those boys were in that home, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know what he did on Saturday. He had a 2-hour window, and I'm worried about not going the other way west. And I feel like they're going to be closer than we think, in my opinion.
Okay, so Sergeant Melinda, Super Chat, according to many YouTubers' careers, never go through, but body language in interview was crazy. Yeah.
10 to Life says, Linda, I spoke with a close friend of his today who also did his home loan and gave him a personal $5,000 loan to move. She said he told her in July that he only has 4 kids, not just adopted total kids. Okay, one of the things that I want to know then is, because I know they have 2 bio kids, 2 adoptive, and the 2 other ones I believe are foster. When did they foster those children? That would be the question, because that could be a true statement. However, when did they foster those other ones? Was it recent, right? When you agree, Chris, did you say the same thing?
Yes, and here's Melinda's question. Scroll it down.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't want to get past her. I'm sorry, and I'll answer your.
Me neither. Okay, where are you? There you go. When was the last time they seen
an ad, or have they?
An ad, or have they? Anyone know? That will say a lot, because the boys were very malnourished per bio mom.
Interesting. Yeah. So when did the state check in? Is that your question? Yep. No, I have the same question. That would also go to this last comment that was just made by 10 to Life, that is the state engaged here? Is CPS and Department of Social Services engaged? Those reports are going to be critical to laying out a timeline in relationship to the nourishment and the condition of these children based on, especially if they still had foster children in the family, because remember, those children are still wards of the court.
Right.
Okay, and it's H&S is what's called the Health and Safety Code, W&I, Welfare and Institution. So those children actually are wards of the court, and basically, they would have to be managed by Department of Social Services and CPS. The family does not manage those children; they just sleep there. Okay?
Right.
So go ahead.
So now, if the kids are, because the kids are adopted, do they still continue on saying, and maybe this is piggybacking on what you're saying, would they say, okay, you'd actually have to see a doctor every year for regular checkups? I mean, in Canada, you would anyways for their, yearly checkup or whatnot. But would they actually say, yeah, you're going to have to do that every 6 months, every year, or anything like that?
That's possible. There could be a condition of the adoption. Yeah, the courts could say and that would depend on what the potential physical and or psychological traumas were to the children before they went into the home.
Right.
Because remember, the court is saying, yes, you can adopt these children, but here's the conditions as a result, condition of that adoption.
Right.
Okay? So they would have to go through that process, and it could be a condition that medical.
And especially if they had any kind, I'm not sure now, Melinda, can you tell me, is it the boys were malnourished before or during, like before or after? So were they just tiny before? I think I read somewhere that one of the boys was a preemie. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. But if it's a case like that too, you have slow growth or small growth, they would be going to doctors anyway to find out. That would be interesting. And when you go into a new city, I know here in Canada we do, you go to a new city and move, you find a new doctor. So did they have a regular doctor, and who's on the list? Because you usually bring them in Canada. Anyways, I don't know how you guys do it, but we go in and we have a meeting with the doctor first, and then we go. So that would be interesting to find out as well.
Yeah, the medical side of this is definitely a lane I think we all need to keep an eye on here, because because they were adopted children, and there were potentially foster children still in play here.
Yeah.
So they're still potentially at he was a preemie, it looks like, right? 4 pounds at birth.
I was 4 pounds at birth, but I'm a twin, so.
Were you really? When I was born, they slapped my mother. Just so you know. Yeah.
I came out feet first, so I'm the backward black sheep person. So but 4 pounds, I mean, it's still, pretty small. If you're not a twin, it's pretty small. So maybe it's one of those things too. I don't know which one. So, and there's also one of the kids had a fractured leg, a lower leg, but some people are saying it's from prior. It's not recent. The chief was also asked about that on an interview, and he didn't know about that. He actually looked kind of surprised and said, yeah, I didn't know. But they did talk about that. And then some other people said, because I was wondering, well, if you have a fractured leg, what are you doing how are you going to be bending down on the patio playing with chalk? You could be sitting on it, but then you got a cold bum, little 3 and 4 year old playing. But they did say fractured lower left leg, I believe it was. It was one of the legs anyways.
Hey, a lot of times, I saw a lot of what they call twist fractures in children, where, the suspect grabs and twists. And I'm sure your husband can tell us all about that stuff, but, the parents think that, if they grab them and then, they inadvertently or they purposely do that. So we see that a lot in, child abuse and homicides. So it's horrible. It's just horrible.
And
I'm not saying that's the case here.
No, but yeah, it's a possibility because they're little brittle bones anyways. They're just developing. A lot of things aren't even bones yet, and their hand is just cartilage and stuff, right? Till a certain age. So that's interesting.
Just horrible.
Yeah. I mean, things that we don't think about because, we're not there. So what else? What else, Chris?
So what is this? William Terrell, age 3, vanished, unsolved. There was a foster adoptive situation. Okay, that's just somebody coming in. Supposedly the child was left in the care of someone else when the leg was fractured. Okay, so it doesn't belong to them. And Chris is a doctor. No, I'm not a doctor, but at all. But I've been around enough doctors and seen enough children with those types of problems to, maybe take a guess at it. So we'll see.
Shelby asked again, and her thing just vanished, but she was asking, would the state be okay with them with 6 children living in a 3-bedroom home?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They could. Yeah. I mean, because they're going to look at the 2 as adoptive, as belonging to the family. And so they're going to be looking for the foster children. Is this an environment that, they could plug them in, and would a 3-bedroom home work? 3 and 3 bunk beds? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Four Sons mom says, that's what I've heard about this little guy, but was done by biomom twist fracture.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I heard about that. So, man, it's one of these cases that your mind is boggled. You're seeing these parents on the interview, and right away, like, things just don't, you're just kind of going, what? And I think that's what's intriguing to many people, besides the fact that the major thing is that the children are gone. These 2 babies are just vanished in thin air, and no one vanishes in thin air. It's not possible. So where are the children? And I think that's where the, parents are getting riled up, because they're seeing something's not adding up. Obviously the chief knows it's foul play. He said it right from the get-go, it's foul play.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I suspect foul play. So now the question is, where are the babies? And that's the thing. So let's talk back again to your channel, because before we close out, I know we've been yapping for 2 hours almost. Look at us go, Chris. I don't even think that's the record, actually.
What's the record? What's the record?
I don't know.
Let's not hit the record.
Like, no, not tonight. You need to get some sleep, poor guy. You're 2 hours ahead.
We're good.
How are you guys liking this? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to go to Chris's channel as well. Someone put the link there, and be sure to subscribe, because it's just going to be awesome. And we really, really got to see the one on the 24th. I am super fascinated about this. And
it's going to be good. I mean, it's not going to be fantastic, right? I mean, people aren't going to fall over and go, oh yeah, but I talked to Barry. It's that simple. And he knows I'm not done. Let me put it to you that way. Okay.
I would love to be a fly on that wall. Keep going.
So no, I'll just bait you for a second. I'm teasing. He hung up on me. Okay. So we'll let it sit there. Okay. But we'll see. We'll see what's going to go. And I'm not saying he's in the circle, out of the circle. Okay.
I can't wait. You guys have to be there with me on the 24th. We're making it a date. We're going to be there.
Yeah, and you have to come.
I am. I'm coming. You mark. Just let me know the time.
No, it's going to be 7:30. So we're going to play the video at 7. Yeah. So our channel. This is the way the channel's going to work. So every Sunday at 7 o'clock, I'm going to drop something. Okay. And then probably the 4th Sunday we'll do a live, and probably some live stuff in between that. But my schedule is just going 100 miles an hour. And so I don't want to, overpromise and underdeliver. Okay. So I want to make sure that my content, and I have my sweet wife, who's 100% on board. And, yeah, so everybody knows, she was an investigative journalist. She's been doing that for 30 plus years. So actually, she's a lot smarter than me, but so she's, kind of writing some of the story ideas, and she's got some great ideas, and we're gonna hit some really interesting cases, true crime, and then, like I said, we'll have some whimsical stuff in there, and of course, we feel blessed that we're able to do it, from an Airstream, and of course, we're trying to figure out how Buddy's going to react, because he's a little rascal. But it's going to be a whole thing. So that's the plan. And on the 24th, so we're going to do the 7:00 premiere and release, the conversation, and then at 7:30 we're going to do the first live. And I would be honored if you can carve it out of your schedule, come over. I've got a couple other guys coming over. I'm not going to say who yet, but they're the real deal. And they're going to be some pretty interesting characters that, and then we'll see where it goes. And my whole intent of this whole thing, it really is, if I can help somebody, then on one of the things that, could be a weakness, could be a strength. I'm not really sure what it is yet. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. Sometimes it doesn't, I can't let go. When I make a commitment to something or somebody, then I don't let go. And that tenacity has, that's how I solve crime. And, so my wife says, you need to do this. Mike says, you need to do this. And so I'm doing it. And it's called The Interview Room, with Chris McDonough. I hope you can join me for the adventure. I'm sure you're going to teach me a lot, and I want it to be a fun place. Like Linda, I mean, you've done a tremendous amount of service to a lot of people, and I know, even though this is kind of a YouTube thing, I know that your husband and you and your family, this is something that is from your heart. You didn't just pick up the Valo thing by accident. It was something that drove you. And I know Suzanne, I mean, I see her picture over your shoulder up there. Okay. These are real people, right? And I see the kids back there. And so, if we can, collectively put our, minds together and we get success, then I guess that's good. There's an old saying, that whenever God opens a window, he closes a door. And, that's the way it is. And so we just, cross my fingers that I hope I'm able to, deliver what what the expectations are, and we'll have fun. We'll have a lot of fun. That's the game.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And, that's the thing is we're putting our hearts out there, and that's that. It's not going to be anything but our passions and our love for helping and putting the truth out there. So however that looks, I mean, when we first start, and I still stumble, tonight, I stumble all the time, right? But you just get your foot and just keep going. I mean, people saw last year I had this ugly yellow wall and all these kinds of things, and it just didn't matter. I just sat down, I had my paper. I'm just going to see what, say what I see, and we'll see what happens. And
That's
here
right.
we are, right? And here we are, I'm hanging out with my buddy, and we're having this time. It's just like mind blowing.
We should be talking about hockey, though. You're in Canada. You're in Canada.
And cold and being cold. Yeah. So when I see the weather people are having, it's like, that's not cold.
Exactly.
Cold. Mine is 40 up here. Well, maybe not right now, but
yeah.
So we have a couple more questions, Chris, and then I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
Kayla says, is it telling that in the little he said in interview, he said they are rambunctious and they are rough and like to wrestle with each other? And so is it telling? So I guess the word rambunctious, and he did say they're very rambunctious. They like to wrestle. They like to play. I guess, what are your thoughts on that word?
Well, remember what we were just talking about? Is this leakage, right, to recover, to paint over recovery? Let's say hypothetically the children are recovered and they happen to have broken bones. Okay. Well, the first thing he's going to say when he sits in the interview room is, oh yeah, they just, I even said they used to wrestle. Okay. That could have happened long before I ever got there. Okay. So those are the kind of things that you just kind of put them on the wall and you say, okay, and a good investigator in an interview will sit down and really, really break that down. And you really want to go into that, the granular principles of human behavior, of human existence. Right back to, so what exactly did you mean?
Yeah.
And let them tell you. And the most successful interviewers are the kind that keep their mouth shut. Okay? You got one of these and two of these. Okay? And that was one of the things that my sweet wife said to me years ago, and I think I shared it with you a while ago, Linda. And that when she first met me, she was like, well, you're like talking to one of my girlfriends. I'm like, what? Well, there goes my machismo card, out the window. Goodbye. And she goes, no. She goes, you like to talk. I said, yeah, I guess, yeah. Evident of the fact that we've been chatting for an hour and 56 minutes now. So,
and does it feel like that?
Okay, I just subscribed. Thank you so much, Trish. And Linda, I'm going to let you go because I will chat you up for days. Thank you so much for inviting me here tonight. I'm really grateful, and I know we'll do a lot more of this as we go along. We'll learn together.
Yeah, absolutely. I learned so much from you already, and I'm always up for racking your brain. You know that. I want to know more.
Shoot a call.
And we'll have you on again. Absolutely. We have one more. This is, I got to, on a good note, you're gonna laugh at this. Let me just say this because it's kind of something fun here. Oh, it's not gonna show. Darzan says soon 144,000 subs. Say no more. Keep going, Linda. We have this thing about hitting 144,000 because Lori led the 144, and the kind of joke here is Linda has to get there first before they led the 144. So this is what this is all about.
12 tribes of 12,000, right?
Right.
Is that what she calculated that math? I still love your, what did you call it? The portal potty?
The portal potty, chat's portal potty.
That was hysterical. Who came, to think that's how they were communicating, right? If I remember right, for what you said.
Yeah, he would go in his portal and he would communicate with Lori, and then I said, "Well, the only thing you're going to be communicating is in your portal potty." And so people are like, "Bah, ha, ha," and I made an emoji out of it, and sometimes you got to keep it light, right? I mean, these cases are so dark. Like in the Gannon Stout case with Letitia. And she did some of this leakage, like you're talking about. She said, oh, the reason why you found that sock over in, 50 miles or 100 miles away or whatever is because I was driving my truck and the wood fell out of so she was doing kind of that thing. But in that case, that's one of the things that are near and dear to my heart is Gannon. Gannon's a huge case last year, and he stole my heart and everybody's hearts.
Right.
One of the things, though, to keep it light is Letitia's shenanigans because I'm angry at her. But at the same time, it's like she made up this guy, Eduardo with the G, Eduardo. And she said he's involved in this. And she made up some cockamamie story to the investigators. And long story short, I started making a joke out of it. And, because you keep it light. And
safety mechanism, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was crying every single day and I still think about him every single day. Right. And so I would start making jokes like, okay, and one of my members said Eduardo Omeletto, right? So we call him Eduardo Omeletto because he's a fictional character. And so we have an egg, like cracked eggs, and then an omelet pan, like Eduardo Omeletto emoji. So sometimes you do what gets you through, and you just try and keep it light a little bit. So thank you so much, Chris, for coming on. Thank you so much to everybody in here tonight for keeping it classy. And there was 2,600 people hanging out with us tonight. And please go and subscribe to Chris's channel. It's just awesome. You're awesome. And you'll be all back on, I'm sure, very soon. And I will see
And
you
I'll
on
see you on the 24th, right?
I'm in there. I'm going to put it
Okay.
in my planner.
Done. Okay, good.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you to the mods. Love you, everybody. See ya. Bye.